family. It's your girl, Nathalie Nelson Parker here. I'm a little early, but I figured it's better to be early than to be late. So y'all go ahead, come on in the room. I'm going to be sharing some lessons today. What do you do when you've been rejected from a grant? So I share a lot with you guys about how to get grant ready. I share a lot with you about what should go into a grant proposal. I share a lot about where to find grants, why grants are important. But I wanted to share with you some of my biggest grant mistakes and getting that letter that says, I'm sorry to inform you that basically you're not getting the grant. And can we stop there of that feeling? And you guys let me know if you've ever felt that. Like, what is that moment where you put a lot of work and effort into something, where you dream it, you vision it, like you are so into it that you know that it's just gonna happen, and then you get that rejection letter? What are some moments like that you've had in your life, and what does that feel like? I know for me, it's hard. It's difficult. So there have been 3 grant proposals that I haven't gotten in all of the times that I have been writing grants. 3, and a majority of them have been either grants that I wasn't the sole person writing it. So sometimes you have grant proposals where there are other people on the team that take different sections. Or it's been a proposal that I didn't write necessarily for my program, that I wrote for someone else. And in those experiences of getting that rejection letter, there are those moments where you might have some self-doubt, your emotional attachment to the project or what you dream the project could be. Those are real things, right? Those are real feelings. Those are real emotions, particularly for those of us who do work in communities where you understand the impact that fund, that programming, that project has for the people that you serve. So in those moments, there are 3 things that I want to share with you quickly about what you can learn from getting that rejection letter. Number 1, rejection anywhere, not just in the grant space, is not necessarily a reflection of your inability or your ineptitude, or you being inept. It just means that at that time, in that moment, at that season, that it's not a right fit, whether for you and the funding organization that you're seeking funding for, or it's just not the right necessarily compatibility, or it's just not the right time. So that's one thing. The second thing, being rejected from a grant or not necessarily having a grant proposal be accepted in the way that you would like it is an opportunity for you to figure out from that funding organization, where were my missteps? Where was the place that we need to grow from? Where is the area in my grant proposal that there were some weaknesses? So when you have a rejection letter, feel all the feelings, feel all the feelings, and then step back and take the feelings out and think objectively, think strategically. The number 1 thing that I do whenever I get a rejection letter is I immediately respond. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I so appreciate, I believe there's a lot of synergy and alignment in our missions. And then I ask, can you share some of the committees? Because there's a whole process of that grant being evaluated. There are many people that probably have read it. There are sections that people read. The way that an organization decides who gets funded, there's a process behind that. So ask the question. Thank you for the notification. Can you share with us some of the reasons why our grant proposal wasn't accepted or wasn't approved? Number 1, immediately make the contact to show, 1, that you're serious, that you understand their mission and where there's alignment with your mission, and that the partnership and the relationship is not going to stop just because you didn't get the money when you wanted it. That's so important, right? And so for all of you guys out there who have wives or girlfriends, sometimes you don't get the number right away. Sometimes you don't get the date the first time you ask. Shout out to my husband, Leon F. Parker III, who pursued for a lot before he got the date and got the girl, right? So don't let the relationship stop just because you got the rejection letter. So number one, ask the question, where's the area that we need to grow in? Where's the area that you would like us to improve in? Second, there are times when you would get that information right away. There are times when there's a smaller organization and they might not give you that information right away. So I'm going to give you is going to be a two-step process. Number one, if they give you the information and tell you these are the areas where we thought your proposal could be stronger, these are the reasons why you got rejected, then immediately ask, is there another funding opportunity? And you pivot, you incorporate those corrections, you self-correct, right? You change the course based on that feedback. So that's what you do for 2-1. Course correct, make things right, incorporate their suggestions and their feedback. Number two, if it's a situation where they're like, we're a small funding organization and we're not at liberty to share all of the notes from the committee, then you just need to show up. Show up to a lot of funding organizations have like pre-grant events, or they have like virtual screenings, or they have virtual consultations where they talk about the grant process. Make sure that you put an alert for that funding organization. So if those opportunities come up, then you are a part of it, that you get a deeper sense and understanding of what that funding organization is looking for. All right. And then the last thing that you could do to learn from your grant rejection letter is something that I do pretty much whether I get rejected or I get approved. And that is making connections for those who have been approved. Not in a self-serving kind of, give me all the information you have, but creating those communities with the projects that did get approved so that you can learn, so that you can build relationships, so that you can grow. So it's so important not to walk into any grant proposal or grant opportunity blind. It's really important for you to, again, see there's a reason why you picked that funding organization, right? There's something that stuck out to you. There's something that resonated with their mission and your mission. So why stop just because you got a rejection letter? That's actually the opportunity for you to build more relationships and more deeper relationships so that it can better help and prepare your organization for future funding opportunities. So those are the 3 things that I've learned from my grant rejection letters. And I know it hurts, like it's hard, but like the fly on Mike Pence's head, you need to be persistent and just keep going at it. And those are the 3 tricks. Number 1, you want to definitely make contact and ask them what are the reasons why you didn't get funded. And ask them for details or notes on how you can self-correct. So that's 2. You also want to make that self-correction. If you don't get that information to self-correct, everyone needs to move to 3, and that is build relationships with those who were funded and build authentic, deep relationships to see what are the areas that they did right. And create a more intimate community of world changers, nonprofit leaders, as well as funders for your wheelhouse in the future. Well, that's it. That's all. I just wanted to get on the line and share those tips, tricks with you for this session. We are in the thick of grant writing. If you need any more resources, again, everything that I'm giving to you is totally free to support you. This is grant season. This is the greatest time to write grants. There are billions of dollars of grants that are out there, and there are a lot of organizations that don't take the opportunity to learn about grants and to leverage those resources for their nonprofits or their mission or even their small business. If you want some more information, go ahead to NATHALIENELSONPARKER.com Masterclass. It is a free zero to funded masterclass that shares my proven strategies of how we were able to go from zero to funded and raise over $500,000 using grants. That's not even including donors, sponsors. That's just in grant funding. So go ahead, get those nuggets at NATHALIENELSONPARKER.com Masterclass. Now, if you are someone who is interested in grants, but you don't have a nonprofit or you don't have a small business, I want you to go to NATHALIENELSONPARKER.com and I want you to grab my checklist. This checklist will walk you through the steps to becoming a nonprofit so that you can get grant funding. I love you, world changers, but if you slide into my DMs or into my inbox and you ask for grants and you do not have a nonprofit, I cannot help you. So make sure you go to NATHALIENELSONPARKER.com and get the checklist, and you can walk through that to see what are the steps that you need to get grant ready, right? Because there's a whole infrastructure that you need to get there. All right. I hope that was helpful. Hit me up if you have questions. I'll be coming on the line all quarter long to answer your questions. So you can go ahead, inbox me, DM me, stay connected as we make sure that we hashtag secure the grant. Love y'all.